All right, let's talk about something that trips up a lot of people, VPNs versus proxies. You've probably heard of both, and they kind of sound like they do the same thing, right? Well, yes and no. They both promise to make your online life a little more private, but how they do it, that's a whole different story. So let's get into it and figure out what's what.
Oh, you know this one, right? That dreaded message, "Sorry, this content isn't available in your region." It is so frustrating, and for a lot of us, that's the first time we even start looking for something like a VPN or a proxy. But you know what? Getting around those blocks, that's really just the tip of the iceberg.
So yeah, it's about way more than just streaming shows from other countries. The internet today, it's a wild place. You've got all these restrictions, people trying to track what you do, and real security risks out there. And that's exactly why these tools, VPNs and proxies, even exist in the first place.
I mean, think about it. You're trying to watch your favorite show while you're on vacation. Or maybe you're just thinking about how your own internet service provider, the company you pay every month, is keeping a log of every single website you visit. And don't even get me started on that free coffee shop Wi-Fi. Is it safe? Who knows? These are the real, everyday reasons we start looking for a way to take back a little bit of control.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll meet the two main players. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of security. This is important. We'll even pull back the curtain on the industry itself, which is interesting. After that, we'll figure out which one is right for you, and we'll wrap up with the one big thing you really need to remember.
Okay, Section 2. Let's get these two contenders in the ring, VPNs and proxies. Now, at a glance, they look pretty similar. They both take your internet traffic and send it through another computer, another server, somewhere else in the world, to hide your real IP address. Simple enough. But the how, the how is where everything changes. Okay, if you remember only one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. A proxy, it's specific. It works for just one application at a time, like, say, just your web browser. But a VPN, a virtual private network, that's the whole shebang. It wraps your entire device in a secure connection. We're talking every single app, every program, even those little background processes you don't think about, everything.
So, to really nail this down, let's use a little analogy. Imagine your data needs to cross a river to get to the internet. You've got two choices. You can take the open-air bridge where everyone can see you, or you can take a private, armored underground tunnel.
The VPN, that's your private tunnel. It takes all your data, everything coming from your device, and wraps it up in a super strong layer of encryption before it even leaves your computer. So, to anyone watching, like your internet provider, all they see is that you went into a tunnel. They have no idea what you're doing inside or where you're going on the other side. That's real device-wide protection.
Now, the proxy, that's the bridge. It'll get you to the other side, and yeah, it'll make it look like you started from a different place by changing your IP address, but your traffic is out in the open. It's like sending a postcard through the mail instead of a sealed letter. Anyone along the route could potentially take a peek. The only security you have is what the website you're visiting already offers. You know, that little padlock icon in your browser.
So let's just put it all together here. With a VPN, encryption is the whole point, and it covers your entire device. With a proxy, there's usually no encryption, and it's just for one app. So what's the bottom line? With a VPN, your ISP is totally in the dark. With a proxy, well, they can often still see exactly where your data is headed.
All right, so at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, easy. VPN is the way to go. Case closed, right? Well, not so fast. This is where things get a little murky, because the business of selling VPNs is a huge, confusing, and honestly pretty shady market. And when researchers actually dug into it, they found that what these companies promise in their ads is not always what you get.
Just listen to this. This is a direct quote from a major academic study on the VPN ecosystem. They said, many VPNs do leak user traffic, perhaps inadvertently, through a variety of means. So in plain English, even when you're paying for privacy, a lot of these services have holes that can leak the exact information you're trying to hide.
And get this, the same study found that 25%, 1 out of every 4 VPNs they looked at, didn't even have a privacy policy. Let that sink in. A company whose entire sales pitch is, trust us with your privacy, doesn't even bother to write down what they will or won't do with your data. That's a massive red flag.
But wait, it gets worse. On top of that, about 10% of these providers seem to be just straight up lying about where their servers are. So you think you're connecting through a server in, say, privacy-friendly Switzerland, but in reality, your data could be passing through a server in a completely different country, maybe one you wouldn't be so comfortable with.
And that brings us to the business itself. You see these ads all the time, right? VPNs marketed as these global, decentralized tools for internet freedom. But take a look at this map. It shows where the companies are actually located. And they're not all over the place. They're heavily concentrated in just a handful of countries, mostly the US and the UK. And one last thing on this, just to make you a savvy consumer. You know all those best VPN of 24 review websites? Well, you have to take them with a huge grain of salt. So many of them are funded by affiliate marketing. That means they get paid a commission every time you click their link and sign up. It creates this, let's just say, a pretty biased environment that isn't always looking out for your best interest.
Okay, so after all that, you might be feeling a little paranoid. But don't worry. The key here isn't to find the one perfect magical tool. That doesn't exist. The real secret is picking the right tool for the job you need to do.
So let's make this super practical. If you're doing anything that involves sensitive data, logging into your work computer, using public Wi-Fi, online banking, you need a VPN. The encryption is non-negotiable, full stop. But if you're just doing something quick and simple like getting around a region block to read a news article, a proxy can actually be faster because it doesn't have that encryption slowing things down. And for really specific stuff like automatically gathering tons of public data from websites, a process called web scraping, proxies are what the pros use.
So let's just put a bow on this. The bottom line is simple. Do you care about security? Do you care about privacy? Then you need a VPN. A proxy is really just for those rare cases where all you care about is speed and the data isn't sensitive at all. And here's a huge thing to remember. Good VPNs have something called a kill switch. If your VPN connection ever drops, it instantly cuts off your internet, so your real identity is never accidentally exposed. A proxy? It has absolutely nothing like that. If it fails, you're just out there in the open.
Okay, we've gone through the tech, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the industry. We've talked about when to use what. But when you strip everything else away, this entire conversation boils down to one single fundamental idea. And it's this. No matter which one you pick, a VPN or a proxy, you are making a choice to send all of your personal internet data through someone else's computer. You're handing it over to a third-party company. So, in a market with almost no rules and a whole lot of slick advertising, the real question you have to ask yourself isn't about speed or features. It's much simpler. Who do you actually trust?